Good morning and welcome to the garden. It's a pleasure to have you join us on this early weekend Saturday morning. Right now, I've got a burden on my mind and I must do some release. And I'm speaking specifically to those of us who are parents. I'm the mother of 3 young adults, and I would hope and I do believe that my children are able to come to me. I've always said that to them. Let me be that one that you can come to and speak to when you feel that you are going under. There is something in your mind that you need some clarification, or I might have wronged you in any way. And for the most part, I believe we have been able to do that because from very early, very early, when they were very young, I always made it a point to sit with them and ask them things. As a matter of fact, I remember clearly, particularly at the end of the year, we would all do a review. They were pretty young. I think sometimes they didn't understand what I was saying. But I said to them, we're going to sit down, give them a piece of paper, and I need us to write about things about ourselves that simply we think did not go right among us for the year, and also things that went good. So we did, that was a practice I did. We talked about the good, we talked about the bad in relation to all of us in the home, and we thought of ways we could improve in the oncoming year. And of course, from time to time, I would speak to them and ask them what's going on. As a matter of fact, we had our Friday night sessions when we sat undisturbed. We don't do that so much now, of course, because they're young adults, as I would have indicated, and they have their own lives. But I feel pretty confident that my children are able to come to me for the most part, because of course, we don't always get people to tell us everything, and that's understandable. But today I'm speaking specifically to those of us who are parents to younger children, school-age children, who are burdened with many things and they aren't able to speak to us. As I would have already indicated, I have been an educator for almost 35 years. So I have always been in very close contact with children. And on many occasions, I would have had the privilege, much to my dismay, of listening to things that would have broken my heart from my students. And I know when my children are younger and their friends came along, I've always tried to build a bond with some of those children, to speak to them, ask them questions, because I know that children have things on their mind. And in many instances, I have been able to get things from them and always try to offer a word of encouragement. There are too many of our children who are bearing burden, and they just simply say, I can't speak to my mom, I can't speak to my dad. He or she simply has no time to listen or just refuses to listen. And it is very sad. Of course, we always see those children who are displaying the unsavory things, and we tend to give them the attention. So those who get into drug abuse, those who are violent, those who may even display promiscuous behavior, those who talk back, those who simply give us a terrible hard time, they get all the attention. And we seek ways of assisting them, or we lash out to them, whatever we do to them. But there are so many others. They are the silent sufferers. There are lots and lots and lots of silent suffering children who do well in school. The academics are on top. They behave well at church. They are hardworking at home. They comply. But inwardly, they are suffering. There are many things that are happening to them. there are traumatic situations that they would have undergone within the home, for the most part, by siblings and even parents, and they are suffering inside. And on occasion, when they would have displayed something that the parents deem to be out of character, they are openly shamed in a horrible way, without the parent even trying to find out why. Why did you do that? In a nice way. Of course, the parents would openly say that you have disappointed me, that you have shamed me. And the child feels more ashamed, feels that he or she is pounded down further in that coffin, or dragged down even more in that mud. But inwardly, that child is hurting so badly. Parents out there, I urge you to listen to your children. Pick out those little telltale signals that are telling you that something is just not right. And when your child indicates to you that, Mom, Dad, I need to speak to you, can I have a moment with you? Give him or her that time. I know you're working hard, but of course you're going to be working hard and inwardly your child is suffering. It's a holistic effort to ensure that every facet of the child being is well attended to. So while you give the shelter, you give the food, you even ensure that they're at church, they're at school, they have their supplies. But what about their emotional status? There are many children out there whose emotional status is at an all-time low. Because you parents, we as parents, we aren't listening to our children. We aren't giving them the time of day. My youngest child, I often, when I get home from work, I would get to him and ask, how was your day? How has it been? Is anything wrong? And of course, he would say, Mom, if something was wrong, you would know. And of course, I ask the older ones that all the time. And someday they think I'm a little bug, really, because I keep asking. And I've said, I'm just doing my job as a parent. I need to know what's going on with you. I will always be asking you what's wrong. Listen to your children, parents. And there is a lot of sibling rivalry, favoritism by parents to other children, other siblings. Do you understand how that is hurting your child? And I think in many instances, when parents behave the way they do, when they simply don't listen, it's because they themselves have not even given up or have not even resolved a situation that he or she might have had in his or her youth. And I would have indicated earlier at some point, somewhere before, that there are many, many hurting little boys and girls in adult bodies. So sometimes it might be that a parent simply just is afraid or unwilling or is denying that opportunity of that child to speak to him or her, because there is some unresolved matter within him, within her as a parent, that was not resolved as a child. If you aren't able, get some help. And when your child opens up to you, rather than getting angry and feeling as if that behavior or whatever the child would have said to you is making you ashamed, it might simply be they're reaching out to you. Is it reaching and hitting a nerve where you are upset because something takes you back to down memory lane? It's all for the healing. We are custodians of our children. They have been lent to us by God to take care of them. Our children need to be listened to. Make time for your child. Too many of our children are silent sufferers. And when they do something totally out of character, it's because there had been a festering sore that no one had been listening to. Parents out there, listen to your children. Make the time to listen and hear from them. Take care of our silent sufferers.